Hello again. In our health focus this morning, we are talking about bipolar disorder. Now, people who are diagnosed with bipolar sometimes struggle to find support from their friends and family. Some of them even start isolating themselves from their families and communities. Now, this is created by some of the myths and stereotypes surrounding mental illness. I'm joined now by Refilwe Dipholo and her daughter Letstatsi Dipholo. Now, Refilwe has lived with bipolar for many years and has also faced some major challenges. Let's hear from her what it is she had to go through. Ladies, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
Refilwe, let's talk about you. When did you find out that you had bipolar disorder?
Initially, it was in 2015, but prior to that, I knew that there was something wrong with me, but I couldn't pinpoint what was wrong with me because I had my kids and I just didn't have any interest. I just knew that I'm a mother, I just need to feed them, but I was never interested in anything that had to do with me becoming a parent. And the relationship that I was in, it was not a very good relationship. But how I got to find out, because every time when I was at work or when I was in public, I would get a lot of anxiety. I still do even now. But I initially had, I think it was a meltdown. So I went to a GP, and when I got there, I just couldn't even speak. So what he initially did, he's like, okay, fine, I'm going to refer you to Custom Off. You need to see someone. And I first saw a psychologist by the name of Raki Singh. I think that was earlier before 2015. But I didn't understand what she said, what's my condition. But how I got to understand it properly, it was when I was admitted at Akeso Hospital in 2015. That's where they did, they drew some blood, and they asked me what happened to me previously and my childhood. Then after that, I was told that I have bipolar disorder.
So just talking to our experts from in the past half hour or so, Refilwe, they spoke of things like having episodes of mania, having episodes of extreme happiness, then depression as well, those mood swings. Did you experience that? Because you speak about not having interest in being a mother, not sort of having interest in having that anxiety. And sometimes that could be postnatal depression. Some people could go, oh yeah, I'm feeling that, and it's postnatal. Did you have any of those other symptoms?
Yes, I did.
Growing up?
It escalated because usually I can feel myself when I'm getting sick. So I used to...
What happens? What do you feel?
I stutter a lot. Like as we're having a conversation, I will black out and I get anxious, and already my mind is like, okay, they're going to find out that I'm not normal or something is wrong with me. But it's mostly triggered by anxiety. And most of the time, I'm not manic. When it happens, it takes a lot of my energy. It doesn't last very long. It's like I've had something with sugar and it's exhausting, but most of the time I'm either moody or just depressed.
Do you work? Do you
Yes,
have a full-time job? So how did you manage that going through all of this? Did that suffer?
At work it was a challenge to a point where I had to disclose because no one understands, and I think a lot of people don't even take the time to understand what's wrong with you. It's the simple things that can make a person be okay. Just saying, hi, how are you? But not, hi, how are you? I'm good, thanks. But actually, how are you? Because there's a lot of things that a person goes through. So in that space, especially when you're a single parent, you just have a lot of overwhelming things, and that triggers what happened in the past. So at work, I don't think... It's only a few people understand what's wrong with me, and I only allow certain people that have the time to understand what kind of a person I am.
Is there support, though, from those who do know? Is there, I mean, I'm sure that, you know, they might understand, but do they actually know what they need to do for you, especially employers?
No. They just think that I'm just someone that is antisocial and is moody and that has a short temper.
So what treatment are you on? What's the help that you are receiving? We know that there's medical, we know there's this therapy as well. So what are you having done?
I'm on antidepressants, and I still see my psychiatrist and my psychologist, but lately I haven't seen them for a while because of the lockdown.
Okay, yes. How did that affect you? How did you cope in that time?
It's difficult. I feel like I'm suffocating because there's just too much, and it was just a shock just to understand that, okay, there's going to be a lot of changes, salary-wise, the kids, and it's just too much.
Yeah. Did you find that you kind of, did you regress a little bit in that time, do you feel? Did you battle, really battle to cope during lockdown?
I did. Even now, I can feel that it's time for me to see my psychiatrist and just understand what the changes that is happening, because with my medication as well, you constantly have to inform your psychiatrist that this is how I feel currently, because it changes. And what is the problem is that when you're living with bipolar, there is a time where initially when you're supposed to take your medication, because you can take your medication for something like 6 months or to a year over that, but there is a point where you just stop because you feel like you're okay. But after some time, you still go back to having a relapse, because I've had 3 relapses.
Well, let's talk to Letstatsi about that and what it's like, living with a mom, somebody you depend on. And I'm going to be frank, moms are seen as people that, should be taking care of us. And, you being a teenager, having your own moods and things like that. What was it like, living and supporting your mom through this?
It was first difficult because I didn't know what to do. I didn't even understand what my mom...
What was she like in that time?
I was scared of her because I was like, okay, should I sit next to her? Or I don't know what mood she's going to wake up in. So I usually just keep quiet. I used to sit in my corner, and because I'm like a bubbly child myself, so it was very challenging for me.
And you have a younger sister, I understand,
Yes.
as well. So how did you were you also, part of your job, I suppose, was to take care of her and help her through this along with your mum? How did you manage that?
I've been taking care of my sister for the longest time. So for me, it wasn't really a hassle because, it was just something I was used to. But with my mom, I just had to adjust a certain way because now I know that mommy is here, and it was something that had to stay in my brain that, okay, my mom is here.
Did it affect your, like you say, how you were at home? You had to sort of walk on eggshells around mum, from what I understand. What about your social life? What about, you becoming a teenager? What was the impact on you?
Well, I don't know. It was just something I was like, okay, must I talk to my mom about my friends and peer pressure, because that's what I experienced a lot during my school life. So my mom I felt like she wasn't really approachable, so I didn't understand her, but now that sometimes we do talk, we have therapy and stuff like that, it's actually better.
So tell us a little bit about how, where are the improvements you're seeing since 2015, since mum got diagnosed and she's been on her treatment?
Yes.
What are the big changes for you, the positive changes?
The positive changes are, we can talk more, we go out more. Sometimes when we watch a movie, it's I imagine things and I just come up with questions of, Mommy, okay, if we living this life, what would happen? And we converse, like we talk to each other, even when we in the kitchen, maybe cooking.
And you're not scared anymore?
No, we're not.
Refilwe, that must be very hard to hear. When your child says, I was scared of mom, I didn't know how to be around mom. But do you talk about these things now as a family? Do you get into those discussions and help them understand what's been going on with you?
I try, especially with my mom as well, because she's been very supportive. But in the beginning, she didn't understand. Yeah. She just thought that I'm just a difficult child. But it's difficult living with this condition because even the stigma is just a lot. You get someone that will make a joke, like will say, you know what, my girlfriend is just being over the top. I think she's bipolar. And
yes, we tend to make jokes. We tend to go to bipolar for everything.
Yes.
In a fight or whatever it is.
You're bipolar. That is very painful because on a regular basis, I don't even know what mood am I going to wake up on. And sometimes it can take a bit of a while, half a day, me being depressed, and I'm not sure why I'm feeling that way. And sometimes talking to people, I think it helps. But depending who
Yeah.
Because I think the diet and the diet, positive diet to this
Yes.
condition is having people that understand, not pity you, but that really get into the space and say, if you don't want to talk about it, they will give you some time to say, okay, I will give you a space, and when you're ready, then you will talk. But not feeling guilty that I just have to adjust my mood so that people think that I'm not rude.
It's hard work. It's hard work all the time.
It's exhausting.
And I'm sure it's hard work for you as well all the time. But I mean, this is your mom. I can only imagine that, you know, you said, I'm here, she's my mom, my sister and I have to help her through this. Are you ready for the lifelong journey with mom?
Yes.
How have you prepared yourself?
I've prepared myself by maybe talking to my grandmother. And sometimes if me and my mom are not on the same page, that's where I actually go and talk to her and say, you know, Granny, I have this problem with mom. And then when she comes, then we sit down and we discuss as a family properly. So I've told myself that it is my mom and I'm not going to change her for anybody else. So, yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. What more could you want to hear, Refilwe? What more could you want to hear? Ladies, I thank you so much, especially you having described what you go through, Refilwe, with all the anxiety and, you know, deciding who you're going to tell, and to be brave enough to come here and talk to us about this and about yourself. And Letstatsi, well done. You're an amazing young woman, as I'm sure is your little sister as well, for helping mum through this. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.
All right.